good evening, everyone. Welcome to the BCS South Wales Christmas webinar, the Festive Chest, an adventure in cybersecurity. So my name's Andy. I'm the current chair of the South Wales branch. Just a few things to point out before we get started. Tonight's event will be recorded. So if you don't want your full name to be shown, if you're asking a question, for example, if you don't want that to be shown in the recording, you can change that at any point using the preference setting and just change it to whatever name you want. You won't get notified or sent any emails from us unless you tick the box on the Eventbrite webpage. So rest assured you won't be bombarded by spam from the BCS or anyone else. The video is then made available to everyone about 3 or 4 weeks after the event, and you can find that on southwales.bcs.org, I believe, on our main webpage, and you can check us out there. So I'll start off by introducing our presenters this evening, and then I'll hand over to them and they can get busy. Just to mention that throughout this evening's webinar, if you have any questions, and I think the presenters as well will explain this in a minute, if there'll be some questions to do with the quiz that they're doing and the challenges, they'll want you to put stuff in the question box. So you should find that in the right-hand panel. As you're looking at your screen, it should be in your right-hand panel and it will say questions. So our presenters this evening, can I introduce Claire Johnson, our USW Partnerships and Outreach Manager, so from the University of South Wales, founder of Women in Cyber in Wales, has been a colleague of mine for many years, and I'm very grateful, the BCS are very grateful for you joining us this evening to run this session. I also have with us Holly Lidbury, who is from the National Digital Exploitation Centre. Hi, Lolly. She is the lead of the education arm there. The National Digital Exploitation Centre is a collaboration between Welsh Government, University of South Wales, and of course Talis. And last but by no means least, Lisa Cornford, who is also from the National Digital Exploitation Centre and is a trainer there in their education centre. Right, without any further ado, I'll hand over to the team. Thank you very much and enjoy the webinar. Thanks a lot.
Hi everyone, thanks Andy. We're really pleased to be here with you this evening. We've got an exciting adventure for you, we hope, and we've got lots of puzzles and challenges for you to join in with along the way. So I won't introduce us again because Andy's already done an amazing job, but I wonder if any of you were here last year to watch our webinar and to join in. Last year we had Holly playing the part of Seren, who was a little bit mischievous, should we say, and rummaging around in her attic finding interesting things. And this year, Holly, otherwise known as Seren, have you been up to anything similar?
Yes, so this year I thought, well, I'm not going to try the attic again because they knew that I found my Christmas presents up there. So I had a little look around the rest of the house, and eventually I managed to find the secret chest, or my festive chest, inside my dad's wardrobe, wrapped in a blanket. So I'd like to see if I can crack the codes again, because I'm hoping they might have left me another little early Christmas present if I can solve all the puzzles.
And should you really be rummaging around in cupboards and things?
Probably not, but I think my parents made it into a bit of a game, so.
Okay, all right. So what's on the chest? What have you got there?
So it just looks like a plain chest, to be honest.
Is there something on the bottom?
Oh, there is something on the bottom. I'm going to have to put my glasses on to see. Let's have a look.
I can't get into it at the moment. There's like there's a lock on the front with a code. I need some numbers to get into. So I don't know, maybe that could be useful.
What
Shall
does
I
it look like?
so
Yeah.
that you can see?
Let's have a look.
So it looks like this.
Okay.
I wonder if anybody who's watching might know what sort of a code that is. If you think you know what the code might be, put it in the question box on the side and we'll check. Lisa, do you think you know what that code is?
I got an idea. Should we see if anyone?
Yeah, let's see. So I wonder. So why do people use codes? When would you use a code and what for? Do you think?
Provide a message that you don't want someone else to read?
Yes. So we use codes a lot in cybersecurity because they can help us to hide things. Things like when you share your password with a website. Obviously, you wouldn't share your password with other people, but if you share it with a website to create an account, the website will store it in a code form so that if somebody could see that information, they wouldn't be able to read your password. And just go on to some of those other codes there that you just put up.
Yeah, it looks like a symbol-based code, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So if you're watching and you're not sure, you can open a tab on Google right now and you can log in and see if you can work out what sort of code that is if you don't know already. And a few people have actually already said what they think it is in the chat, so good work there. But these codes, I don't know if you know what any of these are. Lisa, do you recognise any of these codes?
The third one, the hieroglyphics the Egyptians used.
That's
That
right.
looks like that one.
Yeah, they used to carve them on the walls, didn't they, so that they could leave stories and messages behind. The one at the bottom is called semaphore, so it's used by lots of flag waving, and that's really useful for getting messages across long distances. So sometimes it's to hide secret messages, but sometimes we use symbols because it would be really difficult to shout a long way and give somebody a message. But if you could do the same message with flags, then that would be much easier. So that's why sometimes we use codes as well. The one at the top, Holly, do you know what the one at the top is?
I have no idea.
That is actually Braille. So that is used by people with visual impairments, and it's a series of raised and lowered dots. So you would use that then to feel text rather than actually see it. So that's really, really clever.
So many different reasons for using codes like this then.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm just looking in the chat. Somebody thinks the second one might be rooms. I think that might be right. I'm not sure on the second one, to be honest, but there's lots of interesting ones there. So that doesn't look like any of our codes, does it? So has anybody else got any ideas what that code could be? If not, we'll go with the ones that we think it might be from the chat there. So we've got a couple of suggestions that say it could be Morse code.
I feel like I've heard of that one before. What's that for?
That's used. It's used for lots of things, but it can be used for like a sound code because it's a series of dots and dashes. So sometimes if you hear things where it's like that could be a Morse code. Do you like that?
It's like long and short, isn't it?
Yeah, long and short, absolutely. So this is a grid of Morse code. So what we need you to do now, if you're watching, is to see if you can work out what that code is. So I think we've got it a little bit bigger on the next slide, haven't we? Amazing. And what we'll do is we'll play a little bit of music for you to give you a bit of time to work it out. And if you think you've worked out what the words are, you can post them into the questions so we can see them.
Anyone got it? I couldn't really figure out all of them.
Yeah, we've got some people who put them in the chat, think they know what the answer is. So shall we try? So most of the people in the chat have suggested that they're numbers, and that might make sense, mightn't it?
Yeah, this needs numbers, so that's
Oh,
great.
for the
We're on-
chest. Yeah.
So shall I read out what people think the answer is, and you can try it. We've got 2, 6, 7.
2, 6, 7.
1, 9, 4.
1, 9, 4. It worked.
Woohoo!
Hey.
Brilliant.
What's
So if you've got
inside?
that
Is it your
code-
Christmas present?
If you've got the code, well done in the chat. I can see who you are. I won't give your names away.
So it's not my Christmas present. There's another box with another code. This one has letters on it. There's a USB stick. And there's a picture. Oh, and it has a code on the back.
Is it the Morse code again?
Well, no, I just put it up on the screen. There's the
Oh,
picture.
okay.
And then it's just a load of numbers and letters. It's definitely not code.
That looks like quite a tricky code to break. I don't know where we'd start with that one, really.
What about
Do
the
you think,
picture?
yeah, I was going to say, do you think the picture might be a clue?
I don't know, to be honest.
Anyone recognise what's in the picture?
Looks like some massive machine.
So yeah, it does. So somebody's posted up a suggestion in the box, but I wonder if we can do a little bit more work around the photo. So I think there's a tool that we could use, which is called reverse image lookup, which would allow us to actually look that image up on the computer. So if you've got a Google browser open, you can take a screenshot of this image. So we've put on here the instructions how to do that. If you're on a Windows computer, you can use the snipping tool. So you press on the start key in the bottom left hand corner and then type in snipping tool. And if you click on new, it will let you draw a box around the image so you can save it. And if you've got a Mac computer, then you can use Shift, Command and 4 and draw the box around the image. And then just save it to your desktop or to your downloads folder or something. And then we can use this tool called Google Image Lookup. There are some other options as well. So should we have a go at doing that? And you can have a go yourselves as you're working. So we've got some suggestions in the chat already, which is brilliant.
So can you can search using that photo online instead of like typing in a word?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like Google, but instead of searching for a thing or a word, you use the image instead.
Wow.
So Lisa, do you want to talk us through how to do that?
Yeah. So using the snipping tool, take a copy of the picture, and if you go to google.com/imghp, if you save the picture as well to your desktop, say for this, and then you can upload it to the Google browser, and it will bring up information on that picture.
Wow.
Perfect. So like in the bottom corner of this slide here, where it says Google Images, and there's the search box there, there's a little camera icon, isn't there? And you can click on that, and instead of typing in a word, then you can upload the image, and it should give you some suggestions as to what it might be. So we've got one right answer so far that I think is right. So we'll just maybe see if anybody else can suggest what they think that image is. So snip the image first, and then go to Google Images, and then click on the camera icon and upload the image and see if that works. If you get stuck, let us know in the questions and we can talk you through it. Okay, I've got another suggestion there. Are you trying to guess the numbers?
The letters, yeah, I thought I'd give it a go. Not working.
Shall we show you what we got when we looked up that image? I tell you what, we could tell you why, while you're looking, why this is useful. Actually, detectives and police officers will use this technique when they think there's been a crime. So sometimes criminals will take photographs of events that have happened to sort of show off to their friends. They'll post them on the internet. And the police can actually use those images to work out where a crime took place. And it's really, really clever because they can do things like look in shop windows at reflections. So somebody might take a picture, think there's nothing identifying in there, but a glass window or a car windscreen might actually give away lots of information that helps the police to identify where that took place and maybe other people who are involved as well. So it's a really powerful tool. Okay, let's flick on to the next slide because we had a go at searching for this image, and what did we find? Okay, that is
Colossus.
a picture of the Colossus computer, which
So that was the world's first electronic computer, wasn't it? That was used during World War II to decipher messages between Hitler and his generals.
Wow. So a really important computer. Amazing.
It was created in Bletchley Park.
Which is where they did loads of code breaking in the Second World War, isn't it? So that would make sense. Okay, so well done if you got that right.
Maybe we could use Colossus to break this code.
Yeah, so what code did Colossus, was Colossus built to break, I wonder? Wonder if anybody could find that out, because that might help us to decipher the code. So using Google, have another go and see if you can find out what Colossus actually was very good at breaking the code of. Just waiting to see. So somebody suggested it could be the Enigma code. But if I recall, didn't you have the Enigma code to break last year? And that came in blocks of 5 letters or something, didn't it?
I used Enigma last year, and my mum wouldn't use the same code twice. She wouldn't make it that easy.
So it must be different to that.
Yeah, and this isn't in 5s as well. And it's got numbers. I don't think it had numbers last year.
So it's mixed with letters and numbers. Okay.
Just waiting to see if anybody can work out what it might be. If not, we'll give you a clue. And often the most difficult thing about working out puzzles like this is trying to see where to start. So if you've got any clues, that's really helpful. And obviously we've got the picture of the computer, so that gives us a clue. And then also the format of it. So we don't think it's Enigma because Enigma comes in little blocks of 5 letters. So that sort of helps eliminate that. But it isn't always easy to work it out from absolutely nothing. Right, okay. So we have an answer now in the chat, which is suggesting it could be a Lorenz cipher.
Lorenz?
A Lorenz cipher, yeah. So
Okay. So how could
pop
we?
on to the next slide, Holly. Sorry, Lisa.
That's okay.
Wow. That looks super complicated.
Yeah, maybe we could try Cybershot, because we tried that last year for the Enigma, didn't we? I wondered if it would have the Lorenz cipher on there. We have a look.
Cyber, great tool.
Yeah, Cyberchef is a great tool. So I will put the code to get to Cyberchef. You can just Google it, but we've made a short code here, which I'll just put in the chat for you. If you click onto that link, that should take you to a Cyberchef window, and then see if you can find the Lorenz cipher.
So this is used by the National Cybersecurity Centre, is that right?
It is, and it was actually created by them as well, because they do a lot of work in encryption, and coding and decoding things. So they created a tool, they call it the Swiss Army knife of code breaking. And the idea is that it's a tool which makes it really easy to code things up, but then also to decode them. And there's loads and loads of different things in here. Lisa, you just want to talk through the different sort of areas on the screen there to help people work out how to use it?
Yeah, so under the operations, you can see there's loads of different methods there. If you can't find it, there's a search button. So if you type in Lorenz in the search, it will come up. And then once it's up, click on it, click on Lorenz and drag it over to recipe. And then you'll see then it goes to what it's like on the screen. So a green box. Make sure that your settings are set like ours. So the model is SZ40. It's plain text. You've got KH pattern. And then you can put, sorry.
I was going to say, I put the code in the chat because it's obviously a bit long, isn't it, for typing?
Oh, yeah, copy and paste it.
Yeah, you can copy and paste it.
Into the input, not the out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So put it into the input and try and see if the Lorenz cipher works. So let us know in the chat how you're getting on, because this is quite a tricky cipher and there's lots of different options in that recipe window. So if you're trying it and it's not working, let us know and then we can help. So should we put the music on and give people a chance to have a go?
It's a bit tricky.
Maybe just go back one slide and then come back onto it.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Right, we've got no answers in the chat, so this is quite a tricky one. So shall we go through it with you? If you maybe pop on to the next slide. So we've pulled in the Lorenz cipher. we're transferring the input, which we've taken from the chat and from the back of the piece of paper that you found. But in the output, it's still coming out as rubbish, which is not really very helpful. So I wonder why that could be.
Maybe look at the mode. What happens if you click on mode?
Ah, so I think if you click on mode, it's currently set to send.
But we've received the message, haven't we? So it's already encrypted.
Exactly. So it's already encrypted. So we need to switch it to receive mode. What happens if we do that?
It should show you the message.
And there is the message. So one person managed to get that in the chat, which is brilliant. So well done. And it says you'll need to find out who operated Colossus to find the treasure. How's that going to help?
Well, I've still got that USB, haven't I? And this.
That one.
Is it worth having a look at the USB then?
Maybe, let's have a go. Oh, you told me last year not to put the USB into my laptop.
Yes, you always got to be careful if you find USBs. You don't know what's on them, but I'm sure if it's from your parents, it will be fine.
Okay.
But be very careful if you ever find one in the street or lying around on the floor.
Okay. So there's two documents. One's an Excel document. One is Word. I can't access anything though. It's all password protected.
Okay.
Okay, so I wonder if, because the message that came out from the Lorenz Cipher says you'll need to find out who operated Colossus to find the treasure. So maybe there's some information about the operators of Colossus or something that
Could
will
be the
give
password.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense.
Okay, so what we need you to do now, everyone, is to do what we call a bit of open source intelligence gathering. So this is a technique that's used when you go on the internet or anywhere else. So, you know, if you wanted to sort of go to a library or some sort of research place, you could find out information about other things. And we need you to use Google now or another search engine to find out some information about Colossus that we can then use to help us build an idea of what password might be protecting that USB. So typical things you might search for: what was Colossus, who designed it? I think somebody's already suggested in the chat who that might be. Where was it used, and which group of women operated Colossus? And all of those things then we can perhaps use to try and guess the password.
Shall we try some basic passwords first?
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest anyone using these, but we could try because people still use them.
Why don't you, if you're watching, why don't you just pop something in the questions now, and we can try it on the USB to see if we can work out what the password is. What do people use as passwords?
It's usually in the top 10.
Anybody got any suggestions? I've got one to get us started. Try password.
My passwords have got much better since last year, and you gave me those tips.
That is good to know.
No, it doesn't work.
What about
Password
1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's been suggested in the chat. Sorry, Lisa.
That's okay.
Nope.
Anybody else got any suggestions? What other popular passwords are there? What about
BN?
somebody suggested try your parents' birthday.
Oh, great idea. 2, 3, 0. Nope.
Oh, rats. Somebody's try password 1. That is a really bad password. I hope it's not that.
No, it's not that either.
And if anybody has got those passwords, I'd suggest you change them.
Yes, definitely, because this is a technique that's used by cyber criminals. Is when they're trying to break into somebody's account, is to use standard passwords. So things like password 1. Somebody suggested that may work. Let me in. That's a typical one that people use as a password.
In. Nope.
Nope. So it's always a really bad idea to use a password that is easy to guess.
And same with like parents' birthdays as well. Try and avoid them too. Anything personal to you.
So while you're still looking, so we've got a couple of suggestions for other things to try that relate to Colossus. But should we just go through the password checker, because that's quite good fun, isn't it? So there's this website here, which is called How Secure Is My Password, and you can actually type in your own password in there. You might not feel comfortable doing that, so if you're not, maybe just change one character of it or something so it's not quite the same as your own password, but it will tell you then how quickly your password would be cracked. And it's a good way to check, you know, whether your password is a good one or a rubbish one. It's quite good fun. So you can all have a go at that. And what's the advice for a good password?
It's 3 random words. So just 3 random words and mix them up. So using capital letters, punctuation and numbers as well. And that's come from the National Cybersecurity Centre's advice. So just think random.
Yeah, and that's easier to remember, isn't it? Because although it's random words that you've just thought of out of nowhere, they're more memorable, aren't they? Than
Yes,
just,
yeah, definitely.
yeah. Some people suggest like a phrase or something that's meaningful to you, but not to anybody else, because it's easy for you to remember, but difficult for someone to guess. Okay, so in the chat, we've got a couple of things I think we could try. The inventor of the Colossus machine was called Tommy Flowers, so maybe we could try Flowers.
Flowers. Nope.
And somebody else has suggested that the people who operated Colossus were called the Wrens, so we could try Wrens.
How's that spelt?
W-R-E-N-S.
Oh, it worked.
Oh, amazing.
Fab.
Oh, brilliant. So.
Oh, well done if you guessed the Wrens. That was a brilliant one. And Flowers, I think, was a really good guess too.
Yeah, so shall I open up the document?
I think what was in there, a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spreadsheet. Let me stop sharing.
Let's maybe have a look at the spreadsheet, shall we?
Let's see. So if I show you this. 2 seconds.
I think you can change the screen you're showing.
Here we go, I got it.
Got it?
Oh, it's the Christmas present list.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
Right,
Find out what I
getting.
get. Mum, Dad, Auntie Lisa, Nana. There's nothing under my name.
Just hiding it.
Yeah, yes, that's because they knew you'd go snooping, I reckon. So I wonder if anybody who's watching can think how this might be a clue or might have some information in it that's useful to us?
I'm really angry.
Shouldn't be angry. They just
I
keeping
thought
it.
I was gonna find out my presents.
Perhaps you're not getting anything because you've been snooping around.
Mm.
Can anybody think what we might do to see if there's any information in here that would be useful? What could we do? What happened last year? What did we have last year? We had a Word document with hidden text in it, didn't we?
Yeah, it was
a message.
it was like a picture, and when you moved the picture, it looked like there was nothing there, but actually the text was white, so you just couldn't see it.
Maybe
So we
there's
have to change the colour, didn't we?
yeah, maybe there's some white text. Why don't you highlight it and see if anything shows up? If you highlight all the cells and then change the colour to the text colour to something dark, we should be able to see, shouldn't we?
No,
No,
nothing
that, somebody suggested trying looking for formulas in the cells. If you just press on some of the cells, is there anything sort of that we can see in that formula bar that pops up?
just text.
Yeah,
Great idea though.
that was a great idea.
Maybe you should just do anything.
Hang on, somebody suggested that column 14 is hidden. Row 14 maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, look, so you've got 13.
Goes to 15.
How do you sort that out?
I can highlight the two and then unhide them, can't I?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
did it again.
amazing.
What's it
Hi,
say?
Seren. It's your mum. I knew you would go snooping again for your Christmas present. See if you can solve 2 seconds, I can't see this. See if you can solve this year's puzzle in the other document on the USB for a little early Christmas present.
Right.
So is there another document?
Yeah, there was. So let me open that up then and I'll show you what's on the other document. Let's see.
That was good spotting. I wouldn't have even noticed that.
No.
Very clever. Okay, so there's images. I don't know what these are about.
Mountains, a drink.
A logo for something?
It's a car logo, isn't it?
Anybody know what any of those things are? Got no idea on the first one. Recognise the middle one, obviously. Anybody got any thoughts what that could be? I'm just thinking, how did we look at the image of the computer?
I'll do the reverse image lookup.
Yeah.
So snip them.
Yeah, so if you're watching, see if you can work out what that first picture is of. The second one is easy, it's just a drinks can of Tango, isn't it? And sometimes I think when you're trying to solve a puzzle, it's not always easy to know where to start. So what I try and do is just write down everything I know about something and see if that starts to make any sense. So let's see if maybe we give you a moment to see if somebody can look up that image and tell us what it's of, because that might really help us, mightn't it? I read about somebody once who took photographs out of an aeroplane of a coastline, and then when somebody else was looking at the pictures, they were able to stitch all the photographs together and work out where in the world that aeroplane had been flying over, just from the photographs of the coastline.
It's amazing.
Really clever. Oh, so we've got some suggestions now in the chat.
Okay, what have we got?
Somebody's put Sierra for the first one, so I think maybe it's a mountain range. Is there a mountain range that starts with Sierra? I'm trying to remember now.
Sierra Nevada.
Ah, Sierra
The
Nevada.
desert.
Okay, so we've got Sierra Nevada, Tango the drink, and then an Alfa Romeo car logo. Is it worth writing that out and see what it looks like?
Try them on the box. There's
Also
four
like STA or STAR.
Let's have a look at it written out and see if that helps us. Somebody suggested it could be a phonetic alphabet.
What's that?
So I think there's an organisation called NATO that uses a special kind of alphabet, so that when the police use it a lot, don't they? When you watch the police programmes and they give a car registration, they don't say
Right, yeah.
PA12. They say, yeah. So they don't get mistaken when they're saying a letter, because obviously if you say like some letters, M could be easily misheard as N instead. So if you say N November, it's obviously an N, not an M. So go on to the next slide then, Holly. Let's have a look and see what those words look like if we write them out, because that might help us.
So Sierra and Tango. So SNMTARB. That's too many letters.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got quite a few comments in the chat now. So I think if we think of that phonetic alphabet, is Sierra in the phonetic alphabet?
Yeah.
It's Tango. Yeah. And then Alpha is and Romeo. It's Romeo, isn't it? Not Romeo. Romeo, Alpha Romeo. So that does look like the phonetic alphabet, the NATO alphabet. Have a look on the next, if you go on to the next slide, I think it lists all the letters out. We can work out what the letters are. I think some people have worked out already, though, which is brilliant. So we've got Sierra, which is S. Tango is
T.
And then we've got Alpha.
A.
And Romeo. Oh, so it's that was star, doesn't it? Did it work? Wahoo!
Oh my goodness. Right, so I've got a lovely little puzzle book.
Amazing.
Obviously, she loves puzzles. And there's another QR code.
Okay, so what do we do with the QR code?
Well, you can scan it, can't you?
So if you're watching at home and you've got a mobile phone, you can use your camera now to scan this QR code and see where it takes you, and pop in the chat what you find. But Lisa, should you scan any old QR code if you find one?
No, be very careful. Again, since COVID, there's been QR codes everywhere of that, and people have been known to create malicious QR codes and have like stuck them over real QR codes, so then people are clicking on it and you could end up downloading malware or viruses or giving away their personal information through it. So again, be very careful when going around scanning QR codes and making sure that it's not just been stuck on.
That's really good advice. So really only scan a QR code if you trust where it's come from then.
So where does this one take me?
I'm just waiting to see if anybody pops anything in the chat. So hopefully some people are going to scan it now. Shall I scan it on my phone? And then we'll see if it goes anywhere on mine. Let's have a look. So on my phone, because I've got an Android phone, you can't use the camera, I don't think. But I've got a QR code scanner app. So
Oh, I've got it. Oh.
I'm really slow on mine, look terrible. There we go. Oh yes.
Same app.
Brilliant. So we've got a few people in the chat who found it, and it brings us to this page, the Festive Chest, and it says, congratulations, you have unlocked the Festive Chest. You found the missing Christmas star from Christmas past, and this magic star will light up your Christmas home and make sure you have the best Christmas possible. That's a nice message, isn't it? Keep it safe and it will bring you happiness and love. So well done if you managed to find that. That's awesome. Just goes to show really that QR codes are actually really useful because they can be really sort of nice, short, easy images to put on things. You could put them in your Christmas cards if you wanted to, and then send your family and friends to a website that you've built yourself or some other site that you, perhaps with your Christmas presents on, that you want them to buy for you. Buy me this. Brilliant, great work. So shall we just go through what we've covered in this session? We've found a secret chest, we've done some code breaking, we've used Cybershot to help us break those codes, which is a brilliant tool, and if you have found it fun, then do go away and you can write some codes to your friends. We've done reverse image lookup, which can be really useful for trying to work out where places are, and there's lots of challenges online as well where you can have a go at doing some of your own reverse image lookup, where people have sort of posted challenges and see if you can work out where this is, and they post things of buildings and cities and things. And we've done a very little bit of steganography, which is hiding an image or hiding some text inside a spreadsheet. So it was there for everyone to see, but only if you knew where to look for it. So that's all of our stuff for today. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we're very happy to answer any questions if you want to. But other than that, we'll wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Wow, fantastic.
Okay, so you've got Andy and I from the BCS committee. We're happy to kind of referee any questions. If you'd like to type them in as you have been into the questions box, then we'll relay them on to our this evening's speakers.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm just reading some of the chats there. You haven't got your bell on, Andy.
No, I've gone for the quiet one.